Attention pro athletes. Want to secure your financial legacy and thrive off the field? Oakbridge Wealth Management, led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, is your dedicated financial planning ally. But don't take it from me. Take it from the Dallas Cowboys' Tyler Biadasz. He says, Chris set goals financially and has been incredibly impactful in my journey in the NFL. Experience our customized, comprehensive approach, trusted by top NFL players. Don't leave your financial success to chance. Connect with Chris on Instagram at OakbridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakbridgeWM_ANICETE, and let Oakbridge Wealth Management guide you across the goal line.
Bernstein again, big opening, pass 5, pass 10, a bird loves a man, and he goes all the way to the 15-yard line. 17 yards out the carry.
Welcome back to Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag and Oakbridge Wealth Management. Once again, I'm Matt Perkins, joined, as always, by Badger legend, the Hebrew Hammer himself, Matt Bernstein. Bernie, how you doing today on National Signing Day?
Is it National Signing Day in December?
The first one? Early signing day, baby.
Dude, the world has changed. I don't even know these things anywhere. There's so much. There's like 14 national signing days until February, and then you can just decide to transfer 20 seconds later. I think. Clint, this is more your world than mine, but every day's a holiday, baby. And talking about me and watching my film, it's like Christmas and Hanukkah mixed together. And New Year's and my birthday.
We can't do that without my main man in the college football, high school football scouting media, Clint Cosgrove, national scout, national analyst extraordinaire, playing hurt today. Clint, great to see you. And I feel like we need to say it. Like we always say, buddy, it's the best time of the week.
Best time of the week, man. Fresh off of surgery. If I look out of it, it's because I'm doing a little method acting. I wanted to know what it would feel like to tackle Bernie in the open field, staying true to my craft. It hurts. Had to, take some medicine to get me here. Just woke up from a nice little blissful nap, and I'm ready to talk. Yeah, I barely knew it was signing day as well, but here we are. Let's go.
Here we are. Okay, before we get into it, want to remind everyone tuning in from across the globe that we are presented by BetOnline.ag, where they continue to be your number one source for all of your online sports wagering needs. You name it, they've got it over there at BetOnline. Head on over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit with our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. BetOnline, where the game starts. We are going to start with the latest and greatest news for the Wisconsin Badgers. It's National Signing Day, and a day that hope springs eternal for not just Wisconsin, but for every program in the entire country. Kids are flipping left and right and going to schools of their dreams, and it's a madhouse out there. But about 15 minutes before we started recording, Wisconsin got some of the biggest news of the day, that they landed 4-star defensive end Ernest Willer out of the DMV. He is sort of the crown jewel, the cherry on top for Coach Fickell's first full recruiting class, which Clint now ranks in the top 20 in the nation, second best class in the history of Wisconsin, if you go by all the online rankings. Clint, just overall, how do you feel like Coach Fick and this staff did in their first cycle, and sort of what do you think the biggest storylines are coming out of signing day?
Wish I was a little more prepared. I would say they did a great job. This is kind of what I expected. The in-state recruiting, you probably thought that went a little different. So if you're looking at storylines going into it, you probably say, all right, they're going to kill it in state. They're going to put the border around the state. They might not do as much nationally. They're probably not going to sign as many like top 250 players, and really so it went away from that narrative a little bit. It's like they didn't sign all of the top rated kids from the state, but then they went elsewhere to get top rated kids from other states. And so I feel like the class shaped up how I expected it to kind of look like. It might just from a geographical makeup might look a little different. I think they did a good job of getting skill, good job of, fixing some holes on the line. I think guys that fit their scheme better. guys that will be a good scheme fit as far as that goes. The defensive line, you kind of worried about that a little, and then you get Ernest Willer at the end, so that's big. The receiver, you like the haul there. Tyler Van Dyke, coming in at quarterback, you hit the transfer portal, so you got a little bit of everything. You got to be excited, in my opinion. And this is just scraping the surface. So and I don't know if you're ever going to build that wall around Wisconsin, but as you look at the makeup of this class, and let's say that you do build that wall, and these are all guys that you want from in-state who are good fits, and then you're going out and getting the caliber of players that they got from other places. I mean, this is shaping up to be a pretty good recruiting group. I think they did a phenomenal job. I think they outkicked their coverage coming off of a not a great season by people's standards, but people believe in the program. People believe in Coach Fickell, and I think they have a really good plan in place for the future, especially when the NIL stuff probably isn't up to where it needs to be at this point either. So I would say they overachieved at this point.
You answered my question, is that a lot of dudes didn't flip after watching a subpar season, which means that the coaches that we have they're the right guys who are saying the right things, who are consistent with their recruitment. I mean, listen, dude, Clint, you and I came off of the shoebox fiasco, and I never thought of even potentially leaving Wisconsin, right? Like, it was never even they had such a terrible season, maybe I'll go somewhere else. I think it's a different day and age, obviously, but it seems like we did the right things to keep
shoes.
Dude, free shoes? I'm in. But it seems like we did the right things to keep the players, which is what we needed to do, even though our subpar season is subpar.
There's opportunity. Still,
listen, I think it's great. But, then it becomes like, the wall around Wisconsin was really important 10 years ago. But if we're getting guys from different states that are caliber is through the roof, does that wall matter anymore? I still say yes. I still love that culture. But if we lose a dude, who does it matter? Like, people would say yes, but I would say maybe it doesn't.
Well, I would also say to that, Birdie, that I think you have to look at it in totality, because especially for this 2024 class, right? I think there were like 9 or 10 kids from the state who ended up going to Power 5 schools. But like the top 8, 4 came to Wisconsin, and I think 4 are going elsewhere. And when you really look at it close, the big ones that people talk about the offensive linemen, right? Donovan Harbor, who's going to Penn State, and Nathan Roy, who's going to Minnesota. Throw in Corey Smith there, who the running back who's going to Penn State as well. And you lose some of that, but think about it this way: Wisconsin's pulling 2 outstanding linemen out of the state of Pennsylvania. They're pulling the best offensive lineman out of the state of Minnesota in Emerson Mandel, who it might be him and Ryan Corey, who are 2 of the lower rated guys on some of the sites, actually might be my 2 favorite linemen in this class, is interior lineman guys. But, and so, Bernie, to that end, like, there may be less of a wall around the state, but that also could be indicative of what the staff is looking to do and what they're looking for in their players. Because as we're seeing, first of all, like, the roster changeover is huge right now with the amount of guys going into the portal. I mean, we got more defensive linemen going into the portal and linebackers. And so there's going to be some change. There's going to be some transition. And the model that we've had in Wisconsin high school football for the last 30 years may not produce the exact same type of players that they've been expected to produce for the last 35 years.
It's just wild. It's the wild, wild west. I love it.
It is the wild west.
Globalization Clint, of recruiting.
All right, Clint, who's the best offensive player in this class?
Oh, gosh. I'd have to pull up.
I'm going to get, knowing you, Darian Dupree. Okay, so answer one of these. Darian Dupree, Kyan, Barry Johnson, Grant Stack.
Darian Dupree, he's special. He's different. You listen to Jordan Lynch talk about him. And so he won the Player of the Year.
Gatorade State Player of the Year, yeah.
So... And they talked about he's the first one from Mount Carmel to win it since Donovan McNabb or Simeon Rice or something. And keep in mind, Jordan Lynch, what was he, 3rd in the Heisman Trophy voting? And Lynch said, I don't care. Yeah, he's like, I don't care. Anybody who's come through this building. He's like, I don't think there's a player of his caliber that's come through this building. He said something along those lines. And Jordan Lynch, this dude knows football. This dude looks like he could still play football. Like, he's in there, lifting, and he's nuts. And I don't even know the guy that well. He probably doesn't even like me, but the guy knows football. And, Darian's just special. And he said the only person who stopped Darian for having insane numbers is me. He's like, we have other players, and they do. They're loaded. And so like he's like, I didn't want to put a bunch of wear and tear on him when we didn't need to. He's like, if we needed to, yeah, I would have rode him and we would have won. But I didn't need to. He's like, he's got plenty of that in his future. He's like, and the less wear and tear that we could keep on him, the better he's going to be. There isn't anything this kid can't do. He's special. He can catch the ball, run the ball, return it, whatever it is. He's going to be phenomenal. And I think it's a testament to, winning that award without getting the amount of carries and touches and all those other things that most of the kids who win those awards get. And for coach to straight up say the only person who stopped him from getting more was me, because we didn't need to. And I wanted to say he wants to see how far he can take this thing. And I think he can take it pretty far. So I'm going to go with Darian.
That's like the old line about Michael Jordan. The only person who could keep him under 20 was Dean Smith when he was in college. When they're playing the four corners offense. So Bernie, I'm curious to see, do you think that there are any sort of holes on the roster or holes on the team that you think could potentially be, filled by true freshmen this year? Or what positions could you see true freshmen getting snaps at?
Wonky.
Because I will say, Clint mentioned Darian Dupree, the running back. They're bringing 3 running backs, and I actually think that someone I was not sold on, I will say, the beginning of this entire recruiting process.
I tried to sell you on him.
Well, Clint, you did, because I actually wrote a thing. I wrote a thing over on BadgerBlitz.com with our friend John McNamara, little National Signing Day breakdown. One of the questions John asked us was who's going to see the most snaps as a freshman? Who's going to see the field first? And I said Gideon Atuka, who is the least heralded of the 3 running backs that they have brought in, but he has 2 key things going in his favor. First, he's the only one of the 3 who is early enrolling. And with Ches Malusi out because of injury, basically he's going to have the ability to get snaps. And there's going to be a lot of snaps to go around in that running back room, especially the spring, if they don't bring in a transfer like it looks, because it doesn't look like they are going to be bringing in a transfer halfback. He could be the second team guy in the spring. He could be the first team guy in the spring game, assuming Ches isn't playing. I mean, Jackson Aker and Cade Yakimelli, they have proven to be adequate players, but I don't think there is any thought that either of those guys are guaranteed to be handed the starting spot or, the number 1 spot behind Ches this spring. I think Atuka can come in. He is a bowling ball. He is like 5'8", like 195, 200, and he runs like he's like 220, and he might not have the fastest top end speed, but he hits one cut, he goes downhill. He's Monty Ball-esque to me in the way that he plays. I sort of like these 3. If you're looking at like sort of upside projection for the 3, I think Darian Dupree is James White. I think Atuka's Monty Ball, and I think that Dylan Jones is Corey Clement. So I think you could see any of those 3 guys playing significant snaps as true freshmen, but I'll take Atuka, who's going to have an extra 6 months of run up plus the body type and size that fits exactly what Phil Longo wants to do in this offense. He's Michael Carter from North Carolina 2.0. So outside of that running back room, Burn, now that I'm off of my high horse, where do you see freshmen potentially fitting it in sort of this spring and this fall?
Clint can probably maybe agree with me. I think the easier positions are the skill positions to fill in. Yeah. I think a freshman O-line guy is really difficult. That's a lot going on. And quarterback, I would say, out of the skill position, that's a very difficult one. Like when you're a wide receiver, if you can run a route and catch the ball, like you're going to play. So I would say that the halfback is where we need the most help and where we're getting guys. So I would say those guys are going to play. And all of them are going to have an opportunity. I don't think our coaching staff's going to be like, well, let's maybe redshirt some dudes. We need to win yesterday, and we're going to do it by playing those guys. And I think coming in early helps, but we're still going to do it, right? I think Steck might be somebody who has to play a lot. I think we need a dude who can catch the ball as a true tight end, not a fullback moving to tight end. And Nowakowski did a great job. He caught all the balls, but he's not that guy. He's not Owen Daniels, Travis Beckham type, and we need that. So that to me, I think, is where we would look on the offense. On defense, everybody. I mean, unless you're not a transfer guy, like we need D-line, we need linebackers, and we need help in I think the front six big time. So that, to me, those are the positions like that
The front six.
I did not think played well. Well, it's not the front seven, right? We play like three.
I know, it's just funny listening to it. Bernie
like
talking about
dudes,
the front six.
So it sounds so crazy, but like those dudes, like we signed this guy, he could be the next starter for 4 years, and we probably will ask him to do it. And I don't think, Clint, tell me if I'm wrong, we're not burning red shirts. We're playing dudes.
No,
they gotta win.
God no. It's like if you want a kid in a red shirt, he's going to transfer out because he didn't play, or if he does stick around, he's going to be too good where he's going to go to the NFL and he's going to be gone early or transfer early anyways. It's like there's no point to redshirting anymore. I mean, you can if you think a guy's like a real program guy and a developmental guy, and you want to have him for 4 years and 4 games. Like there's just not any point to it anymore. It's like back in the day when everybody was developmental, like it was, yeah, you could do that. But like now it's like redshirt them if they can't play whatsoever right now and hope that they can down the road. If they can even play a lick, if they can contribute 10 plays of special teams, put them in there and let them play because they're going to be gone either to the NFL or another school anyways. Let them play.
Wild. Again, it's the Wild West.
Yep.
Like there's gold in California. Let's go.
Let's go.
Well, one place that Wisconsin struggled this year, like I mentioned before, Pennsylvania, not just those 2 offensive linemen that we talked about, but Emilio Ogard is, before Willer signed, was the highest rated defensive prospect that they had signed. He was just named first team prep All-American by Max Preps at cornerback.
His mom's awesome too.
Yeah. Clint's a friend of the family, and Clint Ogard, can he come in and play as a true freshman at corner? Because I think that's one place that we've seen them going after portal guys. We've seen them going after, developmental guys. But, I don't know if, how ready Amari Snowden's going to be next year, how ready Jonas Duclonis, some of these other guys are going to be. Do you think we could see Ogard on the field as a true freshman?
I mean, you could. That's asking a lot as a corner. You talk about, I think it's really we saw Sparky do it at 148 pounds, dude, or 138 pounds or something, literally. And I'm like, gosh. But he had to play. Like there wasn't really a choice. And so you don't want to be in that position, I don't think. But ability wise, I think maybe he sees a role and he finds a way. He's very talented. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. I think he's a pretty bright kid. I've only talked to him a couple times. Talk about the mom being cool. Me and my wife are out at a restaurant in Philadelphia. The people at the table next to us, these 2 women just eating dinner. We're eating dinner and we just start talking, and all of a sudden we start talking football. I don't even remember how it happened. Maybe a couple cocktails were flowing, and all of a sudden we're FaceTiming her son and talking ball. And that's when he was really he was into Clemson. We thought he was going to Clemson at that point. And I don't know if we talked a little Wisconsin and all that, but yeah, no, it was crazy. His mom's super cool. Shout out to the Ogard family. But yeah, if he's anything like his mom, he's got a chance to play right away. Extremely bright. I love the kid's game. So a position of need, yes. Does he have the talent? Yes. It's just a learning curve. And if you're going to play at that position at a young age, you got to have a really short memory, and you got to be willing to hit. Or at least dive at ankles, and I think he can do that. I think he can do all of that. It's just going to come down, when the lights come on, who's ready to play. And, it's risk reward. You're going to get beat. If you play a true freshman at corner, you're going to get beat at some point. But if he can hold up more than he doesn't hold up, he's got a chance. And I think you're going to see him play, and you're going to find a way to get him in games. Like he's not going to redshirt, I don't think.
We had 4 guys play as freshmen in the defensive back area. I think it was Sparky, Brett Bell, Jimmy, and Rob Brooks.
That's crazy. I don't even think of Jimmy as being the freshman either. He was like the NFL vet back there. I'm like, oh, the guy with 11 picks his freshman year.
Yeah. But you're talking, we also had BJ Tucker. Like we had Mike Eccles. No, that was, that
Mike
was
Eccles,
that year.
Yeah. Eccles was a senior.
Yeah. And So we had dudes still, and they still played. So I think, listen, again, this is a skill position where, yes, diving at ankles, like making tackles for a corner is not really like the most important thing, but playing defense, like playing coverage, if they can do that, dude, you can play as a freshman. In my mind, you can definitely do it. If you can cover, you're in. And if you're better than the guy in front of you, you're going to play. Dude, Sparky was better than all those guys. Not Eccles. Sparky was, I mean, Mike Eccles was just phenomenal.
Well,
and
Eccles was a senior too.
And he was a senior. So, but Sparky played a lot. All those guys played a lot. Even Aiello was there. Like, these are dudes.
Yeah.
And you need guys. You need more than.
We had some injuries. Aiello had one of these on for like half the season, I think. He did. So, but what I'm saying is, I think and Clint, you said it too. We're not burning red shirts. These dudes are playing if they can play. And if there's an opportunity for you to play, and yes, you get burnt and you're going to get better from it, and then play sophomore, junior, senior year, even if you're just a sophomore, junior, and just be at a different level because you played and learned from mistakes, dude, these guys are going to do it. And again, we're all going to this community who listens and everyone else who loves Wisconsin football is going to put pressure on the program from afar that they need to win. And what do you do if you need to win? You play your best guys, no matter if they're 18, 17, or 45. 45. Hey, we've got some 8-year, 45-year-old seniors nowadays. I will say this about defensive back. And to me, this is why, along with your offensive line coach, this is your most important position coach on your team, is because you can make playing defensive back as difficult and as complex as possible, or you can make it as simple as possible. It's all about how you teach it. I think kids who get caught up as playing defensive back who really struggle. Now you're going to struggle because you're just not, it's a huge jump, but sometimes these guys are asked to do too much and think too much. If you can, like, a defensive back walks in my room, I say, I'm going to teach you 5 techniques, no matter what we put in the playbook. You're only going to do one of these 5 techniques, and it's going to line to that. I think you got to keep it as simple as possible. You can make your playbook complex, but make what they have on their plate as simple as possible. And then I think you give them a chance to play early.
And corner, I think you can eliminate a lot of other. Jimmy at strong safety or free safety, you need to know a lot more than a corner.
Exactly.
And I think so those positions to me are more of a younger mind can be there, because don't think, just do it. Just do one of these 5 techniques. Boom,
exactly.
You're in. If you need me to tell you, I'll tell you every single play.
Yeah.
No
question.
It can be that easy. Easy.
Man, thirds, quarter.
Yeah.
Blitz.
Yeah, right. So I like that we're getting these caliber guys. I do wish we could get some offensive line guys to play as young players, but that's so difficult.
So hard.
I don't even know if Joe Thomas did it.
Joe Thomas played defensive line when he was a freshman in the bowl game, at least.
He went back and forth.
They would put him at tight end.
Gibson was physically ready.
He was 400 pounds.
Travis Frederick played as a true freshman. He's the last guy, I think, who started on the offensive line as a true freshman.
How about Caden Proctor starting at left tackle at Alabama the entire year this year?
Yeah, that was insane. That was insane. I was shocked by that personally. I actually thought Proctor was going to be a guard. I thought he would I thought he was going to be too big to play tackle.
Yeah, he looks like but he covers so much ground. I went and saw him in high school. I remember people being like, "Is he that good?" I was like, "I think he is that good." Like,
yeah, he's like
he
Orlando
just didn't
Pace.
look as good as he was because everyone around him just it almost looked like he was moving in slow motion and guys were just like flying out of the way for no reason, but it was because he was that good. It turns out.
Well, let's talk portal here for a second, because the Badgers landed Tyler Van Dyke, and this has been a little bit more polarizing than I anticipated. Well, maybe it shouldn't be. Everything is polarizing these days when it comes to quarterback. It's in the eye of the beholder. I think there are some people who really like DeQuan Finn out of Toledo. I was one of them. I liked his dual threat ability.
Yeah, he can run. He get break in half too.
Yes, exactly. And I think that Tyler Van Dyke is A, more athletic than people want to give him credit for. B, he's been under 3 schemes in 3 years at Miami and was amazing under Rhett Lashley's scheme when he was a freshman. And then the last 2 years when they tried
something too.
Yeah, and which is very similar to what Longo does schematically.
Yep.
But then you look at like when he was under what's his name, Josh Gaddis, his a sophomore. Well, that was a nightmare for everyone. Last year under Shannon Dawson, it was right. Shannon Dawson is the was it?
Yeah,
was
I
it
think
Shannon
so.
Dawson?
Started
Yeah,
off good.
It started off good and then plummeted, but still, you see him throw 5 touchdown passes against Texas A&M. You're like, yeah, you can still see it there. I'm
And their
a little bit
defense is
high.
good.
Yeah, and I'm higher on this actually than it turns out most people are, because I still think that you needed to bring in another veteran into the room. Our friends, Bernie on Twitter, James White, and especially Anthony Davis and Brian Calhoun have been like, what happened to developing guys? What happened to developing quarterback? Clint, I'll let you answer that. What happened to developing quarterbacks?
Yeah, develop them when you have them. You got to have guys to develop first, right? So do you want to throw away another year if you don't have a guy that's ready? Even if you have a guy who's ready, don't you need a guy who can step in and be ready? How many quarterbacks did they go through this year? How many quarterbacks I look at Kansas, they kept on, chucking the ball around. They were on to Chris Ballard's son, who's a true freshman walk-on. That dude's starting at the end of the year. I think like they're third or fourth quarterback, and he's still chucking it around, going toe-to-toe with teams. So, you can't have enough of these guys, and you got a guy on the open market like that. Just because you bring in a Tyler Van Dyke doesn't mean you're not developing someone. Maybe you start blowing out. Shoot, what is the rating on this? Sorry.
You can whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, I'm so used to being on the Rivals podcast. Now, people have me on and I can say whatever I want. I go a little off the handles. But so maybe you're up 30 points and you get some developing done because you're winning games. And I think, this is a developmental program without question, but the taking of one player at a position of need, at a key position of need, at a position that you cannot win without, doesn't sacrifice development. If you're forcing guys into games who aren't ready, I think then you're sacrificing development more so. If you're going in, whether, maybe you're playing a MAC team and get a lead, or, whatever it may be, maybe it's Shabert coming in the fourth quarter to, drop dimes to Lee Evans against Ohio State. I don't know what this development looks like, but just because you bring in a Tyler Van Dyke, who's been very productive, shows a lot of promise. I didn't think I'd ever get ripped apart by my fellow brethren on Twitter when I was like, this guy's custom fit for Longo's offense. They're like, custom fit? Dude can't run. I'm like, since when is run? I was like, he had mobile quarterbacks. That's not like the staple of his offense. I was like, the staple is get the ball out, deal it, and throw the deep ball. And when people are sitting back in coverage, then you can run. So, yeah, you can still develop quarterbacks, by bringing in another quarterback. Show me a top program in the country right now that's not bringing in a quarterback. Quinn Ewers stays or whatever down at Texas. Arch, is he not developing because I don't think he's leaving, right? You're developing a quarterback. That's a great way to develop a quarterback, is have a good dude in front of him, And so now I think you have that. You got a guy who's seasoned, a guy who's hung out in South Beach. He's seen a little bit of everything. And, he can come in, he can share experience from multiple angles. And I really like this pickup. The guy is not afraid to take shots. I'm not sure I love his release, but he knows how to get the ball out. He knows how to deal it. He sees the field and he takes chances. And I like him.
There's nothing that says he's a starter already just because he transferred. So, you're still developing kids and there's still competition. Now, I think he would be, if the depth chart came out today, he would be number one, but that's only because that's what we're I think we're all hoping that this is what's happening. But again, McNamara said it too. You got to throw all your resources in this position that can win you football games. And for us, that's quarterback. This is the air raid. If you can't throw the football, I literally hate watching quarterbacks run the football. I think they are. Have you ever watched a Jets game? You don't ever want to see a quarterback break out with their legs. It is not good ever. I'm excited that these guys can get. I know I always have to shame my Jets on this podcast, but it's great when you can run. First off, I am a huge fan of not doing quarterback draws. maybe once a game or once in a while, but like not a lot. Like you're literally giving a guy who's not used to get hit by dudes who are trying to kill them. It's not like a running back getting the ball and like that guy's going to get hit. Neither here nor there. I just think we are developing quarterbacks. You have to throw all your resources into the position that could win you football games, and everyone else is doing it. And that is status quo in this world. We're all thinking with our 2005 head that says Sorgi's going to wait his turn, and once Brooks graduates, he's next. And that's the brain that we're using. But nowadays,
really
you know this better than anybody.
Yeah.
Dude, if you're not playing and you're third string and all of a sudden they just went to the transfer portal, like you're going to transfer. And you're not going to get if you're not going to get developed at Wisconsin, maybe you'll go somewhere and get developed there, and maybe you won't. And maybe you'll transfer again, and maybe you'll transfer.
You'll just keep transferring
until you possibly have a chance, or you get stuck and you can't go anywhere else. I just feel bad because everyone thinks the transfer portal is like this beautiful, it's like the holy grail. And honestly, you might not go into a better situation.
No, the grass is not greener 90% of the time. There's like
90% of the time, it's really just,
yeah. Because we see the big name kids in the transfer portal. We see the success stories. They're not like, we're seeing Cody Schrader at Missouri go from D2 to, getting Heisman votes and All-American, and so those are the ones we hear about. We don't hear about the 1,000 kids who went from Power 5 to D2 or didn't play because nobody offered them anymore. And all of a sudden they're not even getting their college education. So it is not always greener.
Or just look at, Darian Varner, who transferred in from Temple last year, just hit the portal again today after 1 year at Wisconsin, or like a semester at Wisconsin.
Did he do anything?
No, he barely played. I know he was dealing with a nagging injury, but he's now a grad transfer, so he can go on his merry way again. Attention athletes. Do you want a frictionless and tailored financial planning experience to secure your future? Well, look no further. Introducing Oak Bridge Wealth Management, the premier financial planning firm for professional athletes. Led by wealth manager Chris Anicetti, our team provides a unique and comprehensive approach, ensuring your financial success both on and off the field. We understand the unique challenges you face as a professional athlete, from managing cash flow habits to planning major business purchases and navigating complex contracts. That's why we've developed a proven process, working closely with our strategic partners to provide seamless solutions for your unique financial journey. Our services evolve with your career, offering short, mid, and long-term goal setting, portfolio optimization, real estate investments, and more. As you transition to life beyond the field, we support you with career development and philanthropic ventures. But don't just take our word for it. Top NFL players like Chase Boulier, Tyler Biadasz, Alec Ingold, and more trust Oak Bridge Wealth Management to guide them towards financial success. Troy Dye of the Minnesota Vikings says, "I really love the work that Chris and the rest of the Oak Bridge group do. I especially like the honesty and transparency when it comes to setting up financial goals and plans that best fit my needs and situation. It's time to elevate your financial game plan. Connect with Chris on Instagram at OakBridgeWM_Anicetti. That's OakBridgeWM_ANICETE. And join the winning team." One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about anyway today was evals and scouting, recruiting, just being sort of a scouting and recruiting guru. My question is sort of, when you are looking at these prospects, I know it's different for every position, but what are some big general things? Like if you're going to put a 5-star grade on someone or a really high 4-star grade on someone, what are sort of the traits that they have to have, like as a baseline for you to even think about getting there?
We like the big dudes who can run really fast. So like the bigger you are and the faster you are, the more important you are. It's like the success pyramid. The crazy hot scale. It's like, all right, so the bigger they are and then the faster they are, and where that crosses over, the crazy hot scale. It's very similar. You're looking for the bigger dudes who are faster than the smaller dudes and are also more skilled. But like really in simplest terms, that's really what it's all about. Is the dude bigger and faster than the other dude? Okay. All right. Checks A and B. Now, can he catch the ball? Okay. Check. Now, does he trip over his own feet? No. Okay, check. It really comes down to body mechanics. I evaluate body mechanics for a living. I'm looking for a big, fast dude who can bend, doesn't move like a robot, who can move laterally. At the end of the day, I evaluate body mechanics, and I tell people that a lot, and they don't understand. And then but Bernie too. We haven't done as much film eval together. We haven't sat down for a while, but Perko, when we sit and you start talking it through and you're like, all right, see how he is able to, let's say a guy knocks him sideways, but then all of a sudden it doesn't matter. He's still going forward. It's because he's able to have his hip mobility allows him to, that doesn't throw him off balance. It's just like a pinball, and it's so, I know that doesn't make sense. And if we were watching film, we'd be able to explain it, but it's really just body mechanics. You need the size. People talk about length and they're like, why is length so important? Well, because it's a game of inches. They've said that for 100 years before length even mattered. And that is the difference between a tip ball, a caught ball, a touchdown, a play inbounds, a play out of bounds, a TFL, and a touchdown for the offense. So, so length, size, speed, physicality. Loves football. I don't care what the position is. You have to love the game because nobody in their right mind, and this is why method acting is really important. You've got to know that you are willing to make that tackle and it doesn't matter how much it's going to hurt. Okay. And that's why I did that before we broke down Bernie's film, because you got to have a little stupid upstairs too. That is important. You got to have a little wire loose. Because the best
how do you measure that though, Clint?
Like,
how do you measure that if you how do you measure though that football want to if you are not coaching that person day in and day out? Like they can say, like they can BS that and tell that to a coach when they go to visit. Like that's so how do you, if you are a coach, if you're a talent evaluator, I would imagine that and like football IQ are the hardest things to evaluate.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a kid, do you love football? And if they've been instructed, they're gonna be like, yeah, I love football. Okay. But really, when it comes to that, if you shouldn't, the kids that you question, does this kid love football? They usually don't. All right. I will say that one. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes kids love it at different levels. It's almost like, do they need football or do they want football? Do they like football or do they do it to get chicks? Like there's all kinds of different things. With that comes maturity sometimes. But you've got to find when you evaluate, sometimes I can turn on the film and I'm like, this kid loves football. That kid could tell me that he doesn't love football. He's like, oh, I like it. I'm really into school. I'm like, the heck you don't. You love football. And I can tell by the way you play the game. And this is dead serious. Some guys just play the game differently. And when you turn on the film, you can tell they love it. Now, the kids that you question, and you don't have to love the game to be great. I mean, Borland, he retires because he's smart. He didn't want to have his head banged around. But the best players love the game. And so when you're doing that part, I mean, you ask the coaches, you ask the people at school, like you're usually going to have a good idea because and I've touched on this over and over, part of the recruiting process is developing that relationship. And when you get to know somebody enough and know how they tick, you're going to know if they love the game. And, do they like talking the game? I mean, it's not all about that, but I'm going on tangents, whatever it is. But at the same time, you got to love football. You got to be the big guy. You got to be the fast guy. You got to be the athletic guy. And if you aren't those things, then you got to really love the game of football.
Uh-oh. Oh, dude.
We're getting there.
Question for you. Do you, there's 10 divisions in every state, right? New York has, I think, 7. Do you cut, at some level, you're like, I'm going to cut these 3 out because they, 6, 7, 8. No, you're even grinding on 6, 7, 8 sometimes. Even just to find a gem. When
I was scouting, yeah. Now when I'm at Rivals, it didn't matter. I'm just, once a kid has offers, then I pay attention to him. When I was scouting, oh yeah, I'm looking for the diamond in the rough that I would watch film for hours upon hours upon hours. I would go through all the lower division track stats. I would go through, I'd get combines throughout the state that were in some little podunk town where and I would get the info from there. Yeah, man, I was looking everywhere. And that's where you find some of the great ones. I mean, the kid from Nebraska this year plays 8-man football. You know, he's a top 100 kid, or is he in next class? So you look at, I get fired from rivals and I'm already forgetting.
Which one?
Carter Nelson. Carter Nelson.
Linebacker. Oh wait, is he tight end or linebacker?
The tight end. Well, he plays quarterback, right. Tight end, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
I was confusing him with what's his name, Christian something, who's also from
Christian Jones. Yeah.
That's who I was thinking
Nebraska.
of. Yeah.
Yep. So this guy plays 8-man football. And I found him because I was looking through track stuff, and the kid high jumped 7 foot, and he was 6'5", and he was a freshman. And I'm like, this kid's got to be good. And I turn on the film. I'm like, why aren't there all the people on the field? And then I'm like, he's playing really small football. I was like, this kid's really good. He's bigger. He's faster. You know, when we go on the crazy hot scale, he was on the insane part. And, you know, you could just tell, you know, he moved better, and body mechanics and all those things. So really complete player, almost reminds me of Travis Kelce already, which is, you know, and that's a small division player playing 8-man football, you know.
So then
I look for the Jim Leonards.
So then my question, Clint, is who is on that crazy hot scale, who is the crazy hottest you've ever scouted?
Matt Bernstein.
No way.
I don't know. Let's find out, folks. Let's find out
right now.
This is what we've been building up to for 2 years, ladies and gentlemen.
I did this for this. I tackled
here. If you are listening in audio, I highly recommend going to our YouTube page right now, because you are about to see and witness some of the greatest film you've ever seen, and our eye in the sky, our main man Clint, break down what we are seeing from the high school class 2001 prospect Matt Bernstein from Edgemont High School in Scarsdale, New York.
Height and weight. What was the height and weight?
Height and weight coming out.
I was 6'1", 250, 245.
Okay. 6'1", 245. He's playing running back. He's playing tight end. He's playing linebacker. He's doing it all for this program.
Is it playing?
Oh, we're about to play.
Oh, okay. All right, first play right here. Look at him lower his hips and then get out of that, and then the burst, and then he tiptoes the sideline, and look at his big booty pulling away from everybody right there. Okay, so right out the gate. Okay, dude, this is a lineman running in the open field, outrunning people. Look at 66, wants nothing to do with it. He tried to get behind him, tried to ankle grab him, didn't work. Okay, body mechanics on point. Bernie, look at this, dude. This is incredible, man. This guy is hitting the hole.
This one. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Do you think he turned that one on at home? It was like, hey, look at the Hebrew hammer. Just absolutely destroy me, Grandma. Bernie, so what sticks out right away is the bend, the burst, the body control, the balance. Dude, the way you jump over people and do not break stride is unbelievable. Now, I will say that, look at, he's not even high and tight. Was that fast forward right there?
Nope. This is all standard speed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Bernie, how many? We were the last class without stars.
I definitely had no stars.
You want to talk about bigger, faster, stronger than everyone else you're playing against? This is it.
This dude right here.
So Clint, now you and I have spent countless hours now watching tape together. One of my favorite, one of the biggest compliments I can have on a player,
yep, Syracuse baby,
is I like calling it playing with a physical arrogance. When you are bigger, faster, and stronger than the guy in front of you, and you want to punish them. That's what this kid does, and that's what I like about him. He has
wait QB1.
Oh God.
Positional versatility.
Time.
Dude, that was like the fridge throwing a touchdown pass. Wait, is that you again?
No, that's him catching the ball on the sideline.
And then talking.
I was just looking to hit somebody.
Where did you line up when you're going out for these passes?
Tight end.
Okay.
And I played middle linebacker also. And I was the punter.
Midwest Mike. I don't know. You looked a little tight in the hips to punt. I don't know, man. Maybe it was you're just too big. But no, the crazy thing is I watched this film. All right. Pretend we don't know this kid. We don't. This kid is big. I'd be like, I need to see him in person because this doesn't look real. Like this looks sped up. Because the way that you're able, when I talked earlier about the pinball, well, this is a 255-pound pinball that is getting bounced around, and like you don't break stride even when guys hit you. Look at that little midget who just chased you into the end zone. Like, not okay. This is child abuse at some point. But then seeing your ball skills, is it really the ability to stretch the field at your size?
I played tight end as a sophomore.
And that was the only year you played it?
Yeah. These are all sophomore clips right now.
Wow. So tell me this. How big were you as a sophomore, Bernie?
Pretty much the same. I'd say probably like 240.
Look at that body control, ability to track the ball over the opposite shoulder there. Like, that is very impressive. So when did you start hearing from schools?
Probably the sophomore, but all small schools.
Okay. Well, I mean, New York's not exactly the hotbed for football recruiting. It doesn't start early a lot of the time. But no, just looking at the film, I mean, your ball skills, this is what's really cool about the film. And like a lot of people say, do you look at the progression over time? Does it matter how much better they got from freshman to sophomore year? Like, I really don't give a crap. But what I see here is, as a sophomore, you showed phenomenal ball skills, the ability to track the ball, the ability to go deep with the ball. So you showed that part of your skill set. Then as you got to your senior year, your junior year, your senior year, then you're seeing the football or the running back side of it, the ability to carry the ball, the ability to, burst through the hole, the ability to change direction and all those things, the ability to line up as a Mike backer and just go and kill somebody. Yeah, this is a highlight tape I'd be very excited about. I would have to go and see you in person, Bernie. Just based off the film, I would say 5.73 star.
Okay. Yeah, you need some verified times. I know you want some verified times.
I would say, how fast is this guy? And I want to see how big you were, But yeah, I got to say, Bernie, the things that stand out about your film is the overall balance, the burst. You love football, you do. That big arrogance. When I saw you, like, you don't see a lot of guys in today's age of football, especially these big running backs, that are doing those like leaping straddle moves with like the ball out to the side. And then, like, it's pretty impressive, Bernie. Yeah, I love your high school film. I love it even more now that I saw it. I saw college. This is like Back to the Future. I saw the high school after 20. Geez, how many years? Oh my God. Like 23 years after. Wow. We're old.
Because
Matt,
you would have
what would
no
you give him?
question.
He's a 5.8 jumbo athlete to me.
I like it.
He's a 5.8, maybe like we're talking like 220, 230 nationally range, like just slipping into the top 250. I like that versatility. When you talk about the balance, the combination of balance, grit, and clearly willing to do it all for his team. I mean, I think, the sky's the limit when you've got that sort of combination of size, balance, and strength, tenacity. Like you said, you want to get some verified track times on him. That's going to be huge. And, also want to see, not just track times, but some throws as well. Can he throw? Can he make those explosive movements in small distances? So I'm curious to see that, curious to see how that all plays out with his recruitment. You'd think he'd be at least a regional prospect, not a national prospect.
Oh, no question. I think the biggest question I have is, what is he going to play? I mean, you could have been a D tackle, Bernie. You could have done a lot of things, and that says a lot.
Well,
to your
that's what Syracuse said. Syracuse wanted me to play D end.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I can see it, dude. You're explosive. Yeah, you're like, I want to tote the rock.
Like violence. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to play defense.
Sure, but the short area quickness and all that. Yeah, you would be in the 4-star conversation. I would need to see you in person. But everything on film. The burst,
I think that very first play.
where you're able to get down low and then get back into your stride. Very Darian Dupree-like.
Oh, I appreciate that. I would say you would have no question if I loved football if you came and saw me.
No question.
I was the dude with the eye black down my face, down my neck. No question. You would have been like, this dude looks Metallica blasting out of a boombox. Like all the things. Like just ready to try to crush all your hopes and dreams of the other team. Like it was just, yeah. And the guys we were playing with, like, I love them. Loved them. So like we were bad dudes in the scheme of the game. Like nobody got penalties. Like we were well coached.
Yeah. No, you love the game,
out
dude.
there having a
There was no question about that. There was no question about that. And I felt that. How
do you feel? How do you feel about a running back wearing number 80? To me, that just goes into even more of that physical arrogance. That this guy is going to get the handoff wearing number 80. Who does that?
Well, I'll tell you.
A guy who's going to score a touchdown.
I was 80 as a sophomore. Then I switched to 11 as a junior, and everyone's like, dude, this is not good luck for us. Like you got to change it. And the second we played this team that beat us the second game of the year, we played them in the section finals. I changed my number back to 80 because they're like, if we play this team in the section, you got to do it. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. You know, who cares? I like my 80 jersey. Dude, these guys in the stands, they're kids in the stands, they're kids on the other team, like, Bernstein, we know what number you are. We're going to get you today. And I was
I'm hiding.
I'm like,
how are you going to hide?
I'm the biggest guy on this field. Actually, their team was pretty big. But, you know, it's funny. I remember that night I was a punter, so I'm kicking spiral bombs. And I'm like, I'm going to kill everyone on this field today. And that's it. And we won 20-0. And this team had no idea what hit them. They were -4 yards at halftime. They killed us like 50-7 the game before.
And they knew which one you were? Wow.
They knew which one I was. Dude, it was wild. And that's just, you know, I think you talk about like love of the game, but like the grouping, you know, in high school, you got to be lucky to be around guys in different age groups that are like football either as much or close to how much you do. And it's not easy to do that. And we won 3 state championships in a row, which is impossible to do in general. Some schools, there's a school out here, Somers is pretty much on that trajectory. But dude, we just loved crushing heads and then crushing beers after games.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, the best ones do.
And here we are 25 years later and almost nothing has changed.
There's still some stupid up here, Clint. That's for sure.
Oh, yes. Yes, there is. Literally, dude. If you could see the x-rays of my finger, I sent them to Perco. Oh my God. Yeah. The surgery sucked, and it happened last night.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right. Well, we will get out of here then with this. What is your biggest question that you want to see answered over between now and the spring game? And Bern, I'll start with you on that one.
Oh, man. Between now and the spring game?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, like, there's just not a lot you can do between now and the spring game. I mean, you've
got the remainder bowl. You got like 8 more. I think
you've got a lot of weight room stuff. All that stuff matters. But like before the spring game, I just want to see. I don't know. This is hard. I want to see how spring practice ends up because that to me is important. We did not have a good spring. It looked like, and I think that is heir apparent. I don't know if it's from a player perspective, more from a coaching perspective of like figuring out your literal needs and wants. Because last year was a weird year. You're playing with dudes that were just there. And you tried to get transfer portal guys. Now you have one class that's coming in, plus transfer portal years, plus you saw up front and in personal who was there and who you need to keep and who you're doing. You're seeing a lot of dudes get out, and I think that's either guys think they're not going to play or they're having these conversations of like, listen, you're not part of the plan. And this is the day we live in, so it sounds harsher than it is, but they've asked guys to leave. Even Clint, when we were playing, like they asked guys to not come back.
Oh God, yeah.
If that's
they
do it all the time. Like this is nothing new.
Yeah.
So I think the personnel, I want to see them have more confidence in the personnel that they are going to have on the field this year and literally unleash it. I felt like we really played not up to the ability of our entire team. But I think there's a lot of things happening. So with a year, you have a year, you have ball practices, you get the guys you don't want on the team off the team, or guys who are not good or toxic or whatever your thing is. And you really lock it in and give them 6 months to get ready for that for the spring. And then that's when you really have to produce, at least on offense, way better. I mean, you got to show me in the spring game, like, these dudes are ready to play and they're going to play well.
I mean, yeah. For me, it's the offensive line. What does that unit look like? We've already know that Tanner Bortolini is going to go pro. I think Jack Nelson is still up in the air. Jake Renfro is back and practicing at center, so we'll see if he's able to go. That's going to be big. Where do some of these new guys fit in? I really think Emerson Mandel can slot into the 2 deep at guard potentially. I'm super duper high on him, as well as sort of some of these younger guys. Look at a Joe Brunner who could play either center or guard. Furtney's graduated, so he's moving on. So you're going to have a couple new starters on the offensive line. What does that unit look like? Is Nolan Rucci able to break into the starting unit? I mean, he was one of the 3 highest rated recruits in the history of the program. He was a 5-star left tackle out of Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, and he really hasn't seen much of the field yet. So, whether or not, sort of what happens with him is something that I'm very interested in and curious to see, because, I feel like he has the talent. He's got the length, the size. He's 6'8". He's got all the length and the reach in the world. You'd think he'd be breaking into seeing some significant playing time by now, but he really hasn't. So for me, the offensive line remains the position with the biggest amount of question marks. Clint, take us home.
Is there a new receivers coach hired yet?
No.
Okay, so we want to get that hired, and then no. So
never say never.
I really think this second spring is so important. That first spring, you're kind of feeling each other out. You're feeling out your roster as a coaching staff. The players are feeling out the coaches. What can we get away with? How we thought back then. Like, oh, am I going to like this guy? And you're young and immature. You might be like, oh, if he's a dick, I'm going to be a dick to him. This is what you're dealing with. It's a little different nowadays, I think, because you got to think more like a pro as a college kid than you did back in our day. Because, coaches are going to treat you like pro, and they're going to get you out of there if they don't like you. And so there's a little less wiggle room for that. And you're kind of forced to gel, or you're forced to get out. So I think the 2 big things are, okay, you're not feeling each other out anymore. You understand what's expected from you from a coaching standpoint. And the coaches understand what they have in players. Okay, so how do we bring the best out of our coaches and as players, and as coaches, how do we bring the best out of our players, knowing what we have there? 2, and I said this going into last season, the reason Wisconsin was able to kind of slowly decline talent-wise is because winning masked the lack of recruiting over the last few years. So there was a massive drop in talent, and it was always going to happen. At one point, you were going to see it on the field. Okay, so they did a good job recruiting last year. They got some good young talent. Now we've got a transfer portal quarterback. Okay, coming in. So how do we develop that talent that we brought in, the young talent, and make them ready? Because guys like Amari Snowden, we know that he can play football. Okay. That big jump from year 1 to year 2, especially guys like him who are long and growing into their body and all that stuff. How do we get the most out of our first recruiting class? And how do we develop the guys that have been here and maybe haven't been what were expected as recruits, or what we expected as coaches? What do we do to get the best out of them? Because this is what we have. This is the group we have. Okay, so we've got to figure out, how do we get the best out of the players we have? Maybe what did we not do? Maybe what could we have done better? It's not the the day and age where every single kid gets coached the same. Everybody's going to get coached a little differently. And I feel like after a full year of being around somebody, you have a good idea of what makes them tick. And then also maybe what they need to do a little differently in order to be more productive within your scheme, or even as a football player or a student or whatever it is. So really, it's just gelling together. Young talent that you brought in is 1 year older, getting it all to mesh, getting the best out of everybody. And I think you can take a big step in this next year.
Well, we're trying to make that big step every time we pull up to the podcast. And I think today we did a pretty darn good job, if I do say so myself. Clint, thank you for coming in, playing hurt today here. We always appreciate
I don't even remember
you.
what I talked about. So
It was perfect.
It was beautiful, and it just like you. So that is going to do it here for us today on Believe in Badgers on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag and Oak Ridge Wealth Management. Until next time, he's Matt Bernstein. Thank you for joining us, Clint Cosgrove, and on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin. Oh, poor guy.
Poor Clint.